Welcome to the Solid Waste and Recycling meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Note that both directors are here. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
How does it look to you?
Look great to me, and I will move the agenda.
Then I'll second that. Okay, do we have anybody welcome in the public that wants to make a comment now?
Cheryl Roden, do you have a public comment at this time?
I will when you get to the section on what goes where, and possibly on the management report maybe, and if you all could put your microphones in front of you, I can hear you. Thanks so much.
Not a problem. Okay, let's start with a review of the solid waste events.
Okay, so we just had a tire day, and I believe Brandon has some stats on that.
Oh,
Yeah, so we ended up with,
Thank you.
I'll have to check my email for the exact tonnage of MSW, recycle, and green waste, but we ended up with 300 tires. I think we ended up with around 5 tons of MSW, around 2 tons for recycle, and around the same for green waste and food waste as well too.
Okay, and I just noted I forgot to skip over approval of minutes. I'll move them. They look good to me.
I'll second.
We're done with that. Okay. So there was a good turnout of people.
Yeah, oh yeah, there always is, especially on the mix with tire and trash day, free dump day, so it was a really good turnout.
Good.
It says 3 tons of MSW and half a ton of recycling.
Bingo, there it is, yeah, I was bringing it
300
up right now.
tires.
Yeah, so 3 tons of trash, and then obviously the recycling a little bit less. But people are kind of getting used to the fact that it's not just a free dump day for trash anymore, right? We're doing free dump day for trash, recycle, and green waste. So we actually have 3 separate trucks there on our tire days too. So it's kind of a new concept, but we'll keep it up too.
You're still doing the mattresses as well? Were those set to be up?
Oh, yeah. We do mattresses year round too, though, every day.
Any day?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think that's helpful, because I've noticed people dumping those again out in the middle of nowhere.
We'll get at least one person a week that'll bring in 4 mattresses, a different person too. So we get a lot of
Okay.
mattresses.
Well, people outside sometimes change out a whole house load at the same time.
Yes, we get a lot of those.
Where do we bring the mattresses to?
So if you just bring them straight to my yard, we have a big 53-foot trailer that we dump them right there, and we actually stack them in that trailer. And then that trailer fills up in about 3 to 6 months, depending on how much, how many people bring. But I think our last one, we had just kicked it off. We were just putting out the information on it, so it took us about a year to fill it up. We actually do carpet too. It's a carpet drop off as well.
Okay, so that's good to know, that people know where to take it, because I hate seeing it just dumped, particularly something that's so big.
Yeah.
It's not like you're tossing something small.
So we'll take the
Okay.
roll of carpet and we'll take the mattress, and we got a trailer for both of those.
Oh, good.
Thanks for that information. I never knew that.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
Take it to the landfill.
Yeah.
Transfer station.
Yeah, bring it to us. We'll take it, and it's free.
That's a big help. Okay, update on uniform collection. How are we doing?
Good. So we have a little over 5,700 residential customers as of the end of February, and a little over 3,000 applications. So still some work to do on applications. But I mean, so far so good. I think there's just, what'd you say, about half of a route still left needing to get the 3-cart system?
Yeah, so there's still stragglers that are left out there that we worked with Amy on, and we have a list that we're going to take care of over the next couple of weekends.
Yeah, and so if you haven't received your 3-cart system, just make sure that even if you have only 1 trash, so right, if you only have 2 trash still, put them both out so that way they could do the lid swap. Because if you leave the 1 cart that they need to do a lid swap on behind your fence, they can't swap it out. And then if you call the office, we'll get you prioritized to get that 3-cart system out to you as soon as possible.
Okay. And I believe Cheryl had some questions as well.
Yes, I do. I need a little remedial, what goes where, coaching here. Hi, everybody. On plastic bags, they were going in black, but you took that off the, what's in your, on your 3-cart graphic. So are plastic bags still going in black, or are they going in recycled blue?
Just looking at the flyer. Plastic bags, like Stater Brothers bags, those go in the landfill, so black.
Black. Stater, what about vegetable bags?
Are they compostable, or are they the thin plastic ones?
Some are. The ones at Stater Brothers, a lot of them have a number on them.
Those still go in the landfill. If they're
Landfill?
if they're legitimate compostable bags, you can put them in the organics.
If there's, say that again?
If they're compostable, so they'll typically be like a green hue and say compostable on them, then you can put them in the green. But I don't think Stater Brothers uses those yet.
No, they have, their bags, their vegetable bags have like a 4 on them or something like that. I can't remember the number.
Yeah.
But black.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you had plastic bags on the little cart diagram, and it's gone now, on the one that's in your packet.
Yeah, and it still goes in the landfill. Well, I'll look at why this flyer was changed.
I didn't understand that, Kim, I'm sorry.
I'll look into why the flyer was changed, but they still go in the landfill. So the black one.
Okay, and now the big one that confuses me still is this coated cardboard. You had coated something or other on the black, and that's gone too in the new graphic. So the frozen food goes into blue.
Yeah, if it's plastic or if it's that coated cardboard stuff, that can go into the blue.
So ditto cigarette packs into blue.
Yeah, those can go in the blue.
Okay. And do we have any local battery drop-off?
I don't know. In town? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we do either. I know that AutoZone will sometimes take them, and you're talking about the small battery or car batteries?
Small batteries.
Yeah, so I know AutoZone will take them sometimes. But as far as actual drop off for those batteries, no, I don't think there's anything other than like the auto shops will take them sometimes.
Yeah, we stockpile ours in the office and then we take them to the HHW event once a year, or sometimes we'll take it to a facility once we have a plastic coffee can gets full.
Yeah, it's a long schlep for folks.
Yeah.
Unless so put some, you might think about figuring out a way to do that on occasion.
Yeah, we just can't do HHW. We're not permitted for it, so it's a county thing.
Well, maybe they can do something.
Yeah, they do an event once a year where you can drop off your HHW. It's either in Wrightwood or in Phelan.
Yeah. And then aluminum goes in blue, right?
Correct?
Correct.
But what about dirty aluminum?
It goes in the blue. If it's full of food, dump it out in the green first. But if it's, just a little residue, like a little bit of cat food left over, it can still go in the blue.
Yeah, no, it's like if I bake something, it gets something on it. Okay. Okay, cellophane is in black.
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's my questions for this week. Thank you.
No problem.
I wanted to ask a question too, because I'm wondering about bags like that animal food comes in, the ones that are cat food that have like almost the weaved. Would those still go in the black?
So it depends, but most of those can go into compost because typically,
Even though they're plastic.
yeah, if there's a plastic coating on it, no.
Well, I'm talking about the ones I get, Friskies. And it's a real thick plastic, almost woven plastic.
Oh, no, that's trash.
That's what goes in trash. Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to check because I didn't know if it's sort of a in between. Is it a paper bag?
Yeah, we have a like for the livestock owners out here, we did a flyer, and it gets into the minutia of the feed bags.
Oh, okay, because
Yeah.
I've noticed there's a lot of different feed bags.
There
and
are.
pet food too.
Yeah, and some you can compost, some are trash, potentially some are recyclable. It just depends on what it comes in.
Okay, I'm happy I asked.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Okay, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay, let's move on to update on SB 1383. I know we checked all the boxes, and that's a good thing.
We did. We still have to have a final meeting with our Power Cycle staff, and then after that, I'm sure they'll issue a formal letter explaining that we're done with it. That's what I assume, because everything they do is by certified letter. So technically, we're still under the compliance order until they release us from it, but we have completed all the tasks.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for jumping through all those.
Yes.
And do you have any questions?
Nope. Great job on SB 1383.
It's a wonderful job. And Cheryl, do you have any questions about it?
Just congratulations on doing all the work and all the confusing work and pulling your hair out and all of it that it took to get this far. And I haven't had any problems with my cart service at all, ever, even through the pandemic. They're great, and they're almost always like right there before I can get out there with one last bag. So, I had a question though, not necessarily 1383 related, on pull-out service. Could I ask it now?
Yeah, I think so.
You have pull-out service, Brandon. I called the office and they said to go into the CSD office.
What would you have to go into the CSD office for?
If she wants to add something to her service, she needs to fill
Yeah.
out the new form.
Oh, yeah, to fill out the application, yeah, but you can come into our office too if you wanted to do that.
They have forms there.
Yeah, and then we could actually show you the charges and everything in the office.
Or you could do our online form and just
Right.
make a note you want to add pull-out service.
All right, so I don't have to go into the office, I can do it online.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm comfortable with everything.
Yep.
Okay, so let's move on to review of draft franchise amendments.
Yes. So this year, when we were negotiating rates with CR&R, they utilized the correct index, but we had some back and forth with our accounting staff and their accounting staff on exactly what metric. So is it going to be November 30th, which is what we use for our budgeting, or was it going to be the total, which is an average of the 6 reporting periods? So it gets confusing kind of how this index works. Our index that we use only reports every other month. It doesn't report every month. So our accountant maintains that the average is probably not the most accurate metric to use. He says if we use the most current one that we have, which would be for the month ending in November 30th, that over time, it's not going to matter anyway. It's all going to wash out in the end. And because we negotiated this year to use that metric, in our opinion, it makes sense to move forward using that metric from here on out, because that gets it, I guess, more stable more quickly, correct? So, and I did a little comparison because we had some, they're like, well, that's not what we've always done. And I'm like, well, there really is no consistency to what you've always done. It's changed sometimes. You know, we used to use the LA Anaheim one, and then we switched to the San Bernardino Riverside index, and that was contractual. And then, you know, sometimes we had a rate stay, sometimes we had a 218 that determined our rates, and sometimes they use the annual, sometimes they use the month ending November 30th. So there's really kind of no rhyme or reason
No consistency.
to what happened. So our goal is to do a franchise amendment to clean that up. And so I did a draft of it. This hasn't been submitted to CR&R yet. I wanted you guys to see it first. And then we'll have a meeting with them to see their thoughts on it. And if we're all kind of mutually agreeable, we could take it to the board for adoption. So we'll go ahead and remove the LA language because that's no longer applicable. That time has passed. So we really are just in the San Bernardino Riverside Index now. We did request that we get the adjustment request March 1st, because if we get it April 1st, that really gives us no time to negotiate anything. And if we have to do a Prop 218, then we're like maybe 2 weeks notice in order to prepare all of that. It's just not enough time. So March 1st, and Brandon had no problem getting me the rates this year, by the end of January, I believe. So I don't think that that's unreasonable to request just a month sooner.
I agree.
Yeah, and it even says that we can determine that the request may be submitted earlier than April 1st anyway, but it just kind of hard codes it in there and gives us that
Gives it-
reference point, March 1st.
Gives a limit line.
Yes. So that's kind of not it. That's about it. We changed it to 12-month change where it just ended there to ending November 30th and removed where it said calendar year. The other thing that I don't know if CR&R noticed was in the very first line, the CPI really only applied per their language to residential bin and commercial service. So it didn't apply to carts for residential service. And I just think that was an oversight. So we're going to clean that up for them. And then we did an exhibit, which I need to make sure that it will be actual attachment D. I think it would be based off the attachments in the current franchise agreement. Just to show in visual format where that metric comes from. It's from the November column. So if our accountant ever leaves or their accountant ever leaves, we're not trying to recall what was done or going back through our history. We just look at the exhibit.
In your staff report, it mentions less energy. Did we calculate CPI before with energy in there?
Sometimes,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
And then, but we don't for the district. We use the full CPI. We cannot understand the rationale behind omitting energy. So, other than for this year, the less energy gives them a higher CPI, but in other years it doesn't. So.
Right, that probably evens out too over the years.
Yeah, and that it all washes out in the end, but for now, we're using the normal one, the full CPI, not the less energy scale, and November 30th. And so I think if we could just stay consistent with that starting now and moving forward, it'll be the same in the end.
Good.
Does that make sense to you? I know it's really
What's
confusing.
the window you're looking at it through
Yes.
and how it looks up based on the calendar and
Yeah.
data being brought in.
Yeah, and I had the accountants speak accountant to each other, and this is kind of what we came up with.
Makes sense to me, and the
Yeah.
extra 30 days should help us out when it comes time to go through the 218 process.
Right, so, I mean, if there's gonna be an extraordinary rate adjustment, we're gonna have to do one anyway. The only thing our current schedule allows us to do is pass-through costs, such as the disposal component, which this year there's none per the county, and CPI. And then anything beyond that is Prop 218.
So normal raises that would happen just
Yeah.
because cost of living increased.
Right,
Yeah.
and we even have, like when we start utilizing the local outlet for organics, that's gonna be considered a pass-through cost. So each year we'll have to look at what that is. So you have any questions on this?
No, I like the fact that it's cleaning up the language, the whole section you wiped out in
Yeah,
that first paragraph. It cleans it up and it's easier to read, a
yeah,
lot easier to read.
Definitely an improvement.
Yes.
so if the committee's, okay with this, we'll go ahead and forward it on to CR&R and let them look at it. And depending on what they say, it'll either come back to the committee or I can take it just straight to the board for adoption.
I'm fine with it going to the board of CR&R once they look it over.
I am too, after CR&R's review.
Yep,
If they see some changes, then we can bring it back and go from there.
yeah, if they don't agree to any of this or they have other additional
Yeah.
changes, obviously I'll bring it back to you first. But we have time on
It'd be one
this.
thing if it was a minor word change or something like that. That
Yeah,
would be
we
one
just
thing.
want to
If it's
get
major,
this done by the end of this calendar year, so we know what we're dealing with for next year. Obviously, we know for next year, we are gonna go through a whole rate analysis, and we're likely gonna have a 218. In the event we don't need to do all of that, we'll have this ready for next year, but at least beyond that, we'll be good to go.
I'm good with it. Cheryl, do you have any questions about the franchise agreement?
Not on what you're proposing with the utilization of the various CPI factors, but a question, and I don't know if it's appropriate now or something we can talk about later, two things about how credits are processed, whether that needs to be a policy between the CR&R and the CSD, or whether it should be in the franchise agreement. And there's two things about that. One is missed pickups. When is it a missed pickup? When should someone receive a credit? When do they need to notify C&R about it so that they can come back and get it, or what have you? Does that need to be spelled out in the franchise agreement, or does that need to be just a policy agreement of CR&R and the CSD? That's one.
So we don't get into how CR&R does their business as far as billing goes. It's a whole enterprise that we, at the CSD don't necessarily understand. Not that we don't understand it, but it's very intricate. It would be like them trying to tell us how we need to do our billing. The regulations are different, the billing system's different, how they handle delinquencies is different. So I don't think we would put that in the franchise. Are you having a problem with your billing?
I personally am not having a problem with missed pickups. My guys are golden. But a lot of people, when I say a lot, a fair number of people are posting in the local media groups, and I know how much you hate to hear that, that they've had missed pickups for a week or more. And I think, Brandon, then if it's not going to be in the franchise agreement, I think a clear policy statement by CR&R about when it's the responsibility of us, the client, to notify CR&R that it's been missed, and how long you have to either pick it up or give someone a credit for a missed pickup. That would be useful.
So we actually already have that policy standing now. So if it's a customer that's missed, they'll call either our local office, or they'll get through down to the corporate office. They'll say they were missed for whatever reason. We'll go and we'll refer to our notes from that driver the next day. If it was no trash can out, if it was gate locked, if there was dogs blocking, if there was power lines down so they couldn't access the road, a number of things for the reason that the driver couldn't make it out there. Then it'll be what we call a courtesy pickup, so they'll return that way. If it's an actual missed pickup where the driver didn't know it was a new stop or just forgot, and there's human error involved in that, then that becomes a missed pickup, and then we have to make it out there within 24 hours. If we're not out there within 24 hours, and then we're out there for the next service day, the next week, that's when we offer credits. And it's a component that our billing team has actually sat down and figured out. So it's not a credit for a half a month or a quarter of a month. It's actual component credit that they've taken and sat in a lab with and figured out. So there's an actual dollar amount with it for the amount of barrels that are missed, or if it was a bin, what size bin, and then that's how it's credited.
Right. And so previously, when I had the dumpster service, I was told I had to call you early in the morning to get a credit. So it would be any time the next day is okay?
Anytime the next day for what? For a credit or to call?
For a call, just to notify you that it wasn't picked up.
Yeah, you could call us the next day and let us know it's not picked up, and then by the next day, we'll know if the driver wrote down in his notes that there's an issue with trying to collect it.
Yeah. Okay, so there's no time limit on the next day.
No.
Great. And then I am having, as Brandon knows, I am having a credit disagreement with CR&R at the moment. And so what you're saying, Kim, is that unrelated to missed pickup. And Kim, what you're saying is the CSD does not get involved in that.
No, that's not what I said. We're just not going to have a franchise agreement that gets into the billing minutia of CR&R. So if you're having a problem with CR&R, definitely let us know so we can intervene and figure out what's going on. Because we
Right.
do want our, our franchisee to be providing the best customer service and using reasonable billing practices.
Yeah, and thank you, Brandon, for trying to straighten it out, but it's not straightened out. So I will send Kim a message and copy you.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm glad we cleared up the air that you guys are responsible for that. Now people know that to contact you for missed pickups. That's really good for them to know that. And what the layout of the rules on that is. That, I didn't even know that's how you guys did it. So thank you for the information.
Absolutely.
Okay, staff reports. What do we have? We have our manager report here.
Yeah, the only thing I really wanted to point out that's notable is we were awarded a $75,000 grant recently from CowerCycle to help support our SB 1383 related programs, and that can include some staff costs. It includes a lot of our outreach and education programs. So we will be utilizing every penny of that.
Is this a grant we've gotten before that was a lot less than that?
Yeah, so before the base award was 20,000, and then they give you a per capita amount over that, which we never qualified for. And now the base award is 75,000, and our per capita amount of the leftover is $360.
Well, $360 would be helpful.
Yeah, so anybody who applies and meets the requirements of the grant will get $75,000. This was not a very difficult one to obtain. And then we got 360 on top of it.
So is it Mr. Eco that we have that comes out?
Yeah, so
Will he
like
come out again with this?
Yeah, Mr. Eco, our consultant for the rates related to SB 1383. Our portion, solid waste portion of the billing inserts can go on there. Direct mail costs, portion of our calendars, some staff time can go to that. So we'll utilize all of that.
Big help.
And this is a DICE grant because typically they just send us a check and then we do reporting on how we spent it.
Well, thank you for putting in for that, and
Yeah.
they got it, and I'm happy to see they increased the amount. The education of the public is so much needed in this.
Yeah, I don't think that they definitely did not understand how expensive SB 1383 was going to be. And we're very fortunate in this situation not to have land use powers because that excluded us from some of the procurement requirements. Like the county has to buy so much organic material back from processors. Typically that's in mulch form, and then they have to figure out where they put it. So they're trying to figure out where to offload. I mean, I think Rancho was looking at having to have like a foot of mulch citywide in order to meet the requirements
On
of
every inch
procurement.
property.
It's insane. And then they have to buy it, so that's money, and it's like they're forcing these jurisdictions to buy something that they don't necessarily need and definitely don't want.
I know you mentioned we'd have to basically coat the entire district. We
Oh,
have that
yeah,
problem.
no, we'd have a layer of mulch over the entire desert if we had to comply with procurement. Maybe not a foot deep, but
You'd have piles where it's extra deep and piles where it wasn't. That's what we'd end up with. We'd have piles down the road.
I mean, as much mulch as we give out now, and I don't have the figures with me, we give out an insane amount of free mulch
Good.
all year long. And that would have only been 7% of what was necessary. And like, it's a lot of mulch that we're giving away. Yeah.
Well. Well, I guess we get to sit back and watch others do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but they also had it easier in other ways. Pretty much all those jurisdictions already had 3-cart service, so it's just educating on the food waste component. So,
But do you have any more questions?
I do not.
I must say I'm very thankful with the effort you guys have put into this.
thank you. We have a little PTSD from it, but we're starting to work through it.
Are the dreams of trash slowly
I no
fading?
longer dream of trash, so that's good, thankfully.
Okay, let's move on to action items. Do we have prior
No,
and current?
there are none.
Okay. Our next agenda will be April 17th. I think I may be out of town that day.
Okay, if we don't have anything, we can cancel it.
Okay, if we do, we could put it the following week, maybe?
Yeah, we could reschedule it or we could just cancel it for that
Well, let's
month.
cancel it for right now unless something comes up and you can let us know if
Okay.
you need to schedule. We can do it the following week.
Yeah, there's not a lot of activity
No.
right now pending anything coming back from CR&R and the franchise amendment. So,
And so May's would be, I don't know what date that would be.
I can tell you just 1 second here.
First week of May?
No, it would be May 15th, correct?
And I'll check, I
Yes.
may be at legislative days that week.
Yeah, you might be. I think that is Ledge Days, so that one we can just reschedule.
Okay, so look at May, rescheduling May's and we'll go from,
Yeah, I'll look at the calendar. I'll send you both some dates that
Okay.
would work for that one.
well, thank
Great.
you. And we are adjourned at 3:02.